What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another Detroit Lions video. Now today we're going to be doing another, should the Detroit Lions sign X player or Y player? And today we are going to be talking about Mike Daniels. Should the Detroit Lions sign Mike Daniels to another deal and give him a second chance in Detroit to prove that last year was a fluke? So that is what we will be talking about today. I will be giving you the stats, facts, and my opinion on this subject. But before we do get into the video, if you are new to the channel and are enjoying the content, consider liking the videos and subscribing to the channel. It takes 2 seconds out of your day to make mine, and I would be very, very appreciative to everybody that chooses to do so. But with that being said, let's get into talk about whether or not the Detroit Lions should consider re-signing Mike Daniels and giving him a second chance in the Motor City. Now, Mike Daniels is a 31-year-old free agent defensive tackle. He is a one-time Pro Bowler and throughout his career has absolutely exceeded expectations set on him when he was drafted in the 4th round to the Green Bay Packers out of Iowa in the 2012 NFL Draft. Now, a lot of Detroit Lion fans and a lot of, people surrounding the Detroit Lions have quite a sour taste in their mouth from the last time we signed Mike Daniels. This past 2 off seasons ago at this point, we signed Mike Daniels to a 1-year, $9 million contract after he was released by the Green Bay Packers following a foot injury that ended his 2018 campaign. And, when we signed him, it seemed like a good thing, right? He's a former Pro Bowler, was a Pro Bowler in the 2017 season. So only a year ago, when we signed him, he was only 1 year removed from the Pro Bowl. We were adding him to a defensive line with Damon Harrison and Trey Flowers and, all these guys. And we were going to have this stacked defensive line. And just like the entirety of the defense and the defensive line, Mike Daniels disappointed the fans of Detroit when he actually was on the field. Now, Mike Daniels last year played in 9 games for the Detroit Lions, only started 2, had 10 total tackles, 2 tackles for loss, 2 QB hits, and a single sack. However, he did miss 0 tackles on the season and was graded the 5th highest defensive player by Pro Football Focus on the Detroit Lions defense. Now, that doesn't say a lot because the Detroit Lions had a very atrocious defense last year, and, a lot of people don't like Pro Football Focus anyway because, their rankings and grades are kind of questionable at times. So if you, like Pro Football Focus and you take a lot, if you have a high opinion of them, he was graded the 5th highest player on the Detroit Lions defense last year, but he didn't really pop off the screen. He wasn't making plays like we expected him to. He wasn't really stopping the run. He wasn't really being a force in the run game or the pass rush game, and really just kind of disappeared throughout the season. I mean, he was injured to start the season and injured to end the season, and really didn't have a huge impact on this organization in the 2019 season. Now, if you ask a lot of Lions fans, they're probably not even going to know he played in 9 games. That was a shock to me when I saw it. I thought he only played in like 4 or 5 games. I didn't think he played that much. He did play in over half the games last season, so more than I expected. But when you're paying a guy $9 million to be here, you expect him to be playing on every single Sunday. And, that he just did not do that last year. With all these, bad things about him that I just said, why should the Detroit Lions re-sign him? Why should they consider it? Well, we have no defensive tackle depth. We have 5 defensive tackles currently listed on the roster according to the Detroit Lions website, and those 5 guys are Danny Shelton, who was the presumed starter, but behind him there's not a lot of depth. We have Nick Williams, Kevin Strong, John Adkins, and Jayshon Cornell. Now, Nick Williams is a new acquisition from free agency. He had a breakout season last year where he had 6 sacks for the Chicago Bears and was a very productive pass rusher for them. However, that was 1 season, and he's been in the NFL for quite a while and has only had 1 really good season at the defensive line. So we don't know how he's going to play. We don't know how he's going to transition over to Detroit. We're hoping that he, retains his form from the Chicago Bears and gets us 6-7 sacks next season and just puts pressure on the quarterback. But, we haven't seen that consistently out of him, so we can't really say for sure that he is going to be a great backup at defensive tackle. And he's not really that good at stopping the run either, so I think the Detroit Lions are really looking for a guy that can stop the run, in their depth, because Danny Shelton can do that, but behind Danny Shelton, we don't really have a lot of good guys. Now, moving on to Kevin Strong. He's a second-year player, was a rookie last year, has not started a single game in his NFL career, and only has 5 total tackles in, he only had 5 total tackles in his rookie season. And then we have John Adkins, a third-year player who has started 6 career games for the Detroit Lions. In 2019, he stepped up and had 20 total tackles, but he did not have any tackles for loss, sacks, or quarterback hits. And then the last player at the defensive tackle position is Jayshon Cornell, a 7th-round draft pick out of the Ohio State University. A 7th-round draft pick might not even make the team. I think he will. I think he could. I think he could have an impact on this team and make the team. But I don't feel comfortable relying on a 7th-round rookie either to be the backup defensive tackle position position. So we really don't have that much depth at defensive tackle, and we could definitely use it while adding a former Pro Bowler, a former very, very good defensive lineman in Mike Daniels. Moving on to the next point, Mike Daniels knows the system. Now, in a season or in a year where the offseason is cut short because of a global pandemic where people can't go outside, they can't hang out in large groups, they can't do anything, and the preseason is short and the offseason is short and the NFL season might be shortened also, it's important to have guys that know the system, and Mike Daniels does. Mike Daniels was in Detroit in 2019, so he knows the play calling, he knows the system that they run, he's familiar with it, and if we were wanting to bring in more depth at the defensive line position, why not bring back a guy that knows the system, who doesn't have to take time to get caught up to speed, doesn't need time to, learn it, because he already knows it. He was here a couple months ago and already knows the defensive playbook because, he ran it last season. That gives him an advantage over guys like Everson Griffin, over guys like Jabal Shear and Jadeveon Clowney, other pass rushers that Detroit Lions fans seem to want more, is he knows the playbook, and when he gets here, he's going to hit the ground running as best that he can because he knows the system, he knows how to play the system, and he knows how the coaches like him to play in that system. So that is a big plus for him. And then the next point, he will be much cheaper next season. We paid him $9 million last year to be a pass rusher. He's coming off 2 back-to-back injury-prone seasons, so he will not cost as much. I guarantee you he will not cost $9 million like he did last year, and he will be a much, much cheaper option if the Detroit Lions do choose to bring him back. And with that cheaper contract, Detroit Lions fans won't expect as much out of him. Even if we do bring him back, they're not going to expect a lot out of him because he didn't produce last year. But he will be cheaper because he's coming off 2 back-to-back injured seasons. But he seems very confident in his ability to continue playing football. He seems very confident in his, ability to return and play at a high level like he was in 2017 and, before that. And who knows his body better than him, right? Who knows how he's going to play and how he expects himself to play better than Mike Daniels. I mean, he seems very motivated. He seems very, ready to get back on the field, go out there and play football again. And, I have no reason to doubt him. He had a couple down seasons because of injuries, but when he is playing and he is on the field for an entire season, historically he's shown that he's a very good and dominant force in the defensive line room. And then the last point I want to make is that he wants to be here. Mike Daniels has said numerous times that he wants to come back to Detroit and play for the Detroit Lions and prove to the fans, prove to the coaches, and prove to his former teammates that it was a fluke, that, he had an injury-riddled season, and that, when you bring him back, he's going to be healthy and he's going to produce on the defensive line like he did in his Pro Bowl season. He went on record, and the Detroit Free Press wrote that Daniels plans to return for his 9th NFL season and absolutely wants to be in Detroit. So Mike Daniels has said numerous times that he wants to come back. He wants to be in Detroit and play for his teammates. He wants to play for the city of Detroit. He loves it here. He loves Matt Patricia. He loves the coaching staff. He loved playing with his teammates. He said that last year it just wasn't, the guys worked hard. They worked, every single day to get better, and they did very good things in practice, and they just weren't quite able to put it out and put victories together for the city of Detroit. But Mike Daniels was very positive about it. He wants to be back here. He's not like guys like Darius Slay and Quandre Diggs and Damon Harrison who said that they hate Matt Patricia. They want it out of the building. They want it out of the city, and they just didn't want to be associated with the Detroit Lions anymore. He wants to come back, and he's not going to be that expensive. So why not bring him back? We have the cap space. We have, I believe it's estimated that once we sign all our rookies, we'll have just under $17 million left. Mike Daniels is not going to cost that much, and if we do sign him, we should still have upwards of, $10-11 million left in cap space if we need to make a move, if we need to make a trade, or just if Bob Quinn wants to save that money for next year in order to extend Kenny Golladay, in order to extend Taylor Decker and some of the upcoming big name free agents that we have coming up. Mike Daniels is going to be cheap. He wants to be in Detroit, and I think we should definitely give him a second chance. Yes, I understand where people are coming from. They say, no, he didn't prove anything last year, but last year he was injured, and some of that is just out of the person's control. I think we should bring him back and give him a second chance. He's not going to be expensive. We need the depth. We need the talent at that position, and Mike Daniels, if he gets here, it's not going to be much of a competition for who the backup defensive tackle is, and, I just feel like if we bring him in, he's going to prove to the city of Detroit that, not that he deserved the $9 million, but he's going to prove that it was a fluke, and he's going to try everything in his power to be the defensive lineman we signed him to be in the 2019 offseason, and he's going to prove that he is that in the 2020 season if the Detroit Lions do decide to bring him back. So that is my opinion. I think we should bring him back. I think that there's just a lot of reasons to, and there's not a whole lot of reasons not to bring him in, I guess, is my thing. Like, it's kind of the same thing as Clay Matthews. Yeah, he's older, but if we bring him back to a 1-year contract, who's it hurting, right? I mean, if Bob Quinn wants to save the money anyway, why not sign one more player to add much needed depth to a position of need, add talent to that depth, add talent to that position of need, and just bring in a guy that, is not going to need to do a whole lot, but is going to contribute to your football team on a cheaper contract. So that is my opinion. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Do you think we should re-sign Mike Daniels to come back and, give him a second shot in the Motor City? Or do you think it's just time to move on and say that was a failed experiment and go on to the next thing? Let me know that in the comments below. But with that being said, that is all I have for you guys today. If there is Lions before tomorrow, I'll obviously make a video letting every single person know. But until then, that is all I have for you guys today. I hope you guys enjoyed the video and have an absolutely fantastic rest of your day. Thank you all for watching, and I will see all of you in the video tomorrow. Bye, guys.